everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the admissions webinar of Symbiosis Institute of Media and Communication. My name is Ruchi, Dr. Ruchi Kher Jaggi. I am the director of Symbiosis Institute of Media and Communication, and I welcome you to this webinar. Some of you are connected with me on Zoom right now here, and many of you would be streaming it on YouTube. So what we would do is that how this is going to progress is that there are some questions that have already come to us from certain aspirants. And then there is a set of questions which would continue to pour in as I have the discussion. So we have scheduled a 4 to 5 sort of a slot for this webinar. And I'm sure that as more candidates join in, and I'll try to respond to your questions to the best of my abilities. So just to give you a little overview of what the institute is, the program it offers, because also there have been some questions pertaining to that. So Symbiosis Institute of Media and Communication is now a 33-year-old media and communication school, which is affiliated, which is a part of Symbiosis International Deemed University. We are located in Pune. We are part of a residential campus in an area called Lovely in Pune. And those students who study at Symbiosis Institute of Media and Communication, the acronym for which is SIMC, and now through the rest of the webinar, I'll mostly call it as SIMC. So SIMC students live on the campus because its programs are residential programs. So even if you are from Pune, you stay on the campus in the hostel. That's a part of the programs. So we offer 2 postgraduate programs. One program is called MA in Mass Communication, which is an MA Mass Communication 2-year postgraduate degree program. It has 2 specializations, journalism and audiovisual. So that's one program. It has an exclusive entrance test, and that entrance test is due end of the month this year. Right, and the other program is the MBA Communication Management program, and you would have those aspirants who want to get into the MBA program are aware that they have taken the SNAP entrance test, the result of which was just out on the 10th of January. Now, if you have to take admission in SIMC, you either would have appeared for the SNAP exam, which was conducted by the Symbiosis Test Secretariat, which is the SNAP exam. And if you have applied for SIMC's MBA, which is an MBA in Communication Management, that's what our MBA program is called, then if you get shortlisted, if you have applied for our program and you get shortlisted for that, then you would be invited for the next process, right? And I'll talk about what that process is a little later. Similarly, the students who want to apply for the MA Mass Communication program will appear for an entrance test, which is called the MA Mass Communication Entrance Test. Right. And this entrance test is different from SNAP. So I think a lot of you have been asking me these questions or have been sending the admissions team these questions that how can I get, should I do MBA, should I do MAMC? So both are different programs. We are a media school, media and communication school, a postgraduate school, and we offer 2 separate, 2 exclusive master's programs. The MA Mass Communication program, journalism and audiovisual, it is scheduled, its entrance test is yet to happen on the 29th of January. That is the day of the entrance test. It's a home-based entrance test, proctored entrance test that you would sit at home and appear for. It's happening in the virtual mode. And those who want to get into the MBA program, the entrance exam, which is the SNAP entrance exam, it's already over, right? So only if you have appeared for the SNAP entrance exam can you apply to the MBA program of SIMC. Many of you may have already applied for the program, but we still have a few dates left. So for example, for our MBA program, I think our last date for registration and paying is January 17th. While for our MA Mass Communication program, the test that is due on January 29, the last date for registration and paying your registration fee is 16th of January. So just keep these 2 distinctions in mind, because that was like one of the questions that came to me the first. Now, more than, this is about the 2 programs. Now, let me tell you a little bit about both the programs. So our MA Mass Communication program, which has 2 specializations, journalism and audiovisual, is not a generic mass communication program, like it happens in a lot of other government university and private university departments. So you do a specialization in journalism, which is primarily news-based, or you do a specialization in audio-visual, which is non-news. So the journalism students don't just restrict themselves to any medium. They learn electronic, they learn digital, they learn print, they learn documentary filmmaking, but it is based in a journalistic core, right? The audiovisual students, however, work in fiction and non-fiction formats, which are non-news. So they do everything from script writing to production, to editing, to camera, to sound, right? But we are not like FTII. So it is not that a student who is doing an audiovisual program at SIMC would become a cinematographer at the end or a sound designer. We are teaching you an audiovisual program where audiovisual grammar is something that all students are exposed to, and later you can pick up a lot of electives. So somebody who's interested in camera, while all students learn camera in the first year and a part of the second year, eventually in one of the semesters you could pick up an advanced camera elective, while somebody else may want to pick up an advanced sound elective, or somebody might want to pick up even an advanced elective in say, for example, gender and cinema, or for that matter in documentary filmmaking, and so on. Similarly, in journalism, while students are exposed to all the dimensions of a journalism course, you again could go on to pick up electives in, say, for example, all students would be exposed to basics of finance and business and economics of journalism. But you could even pick up an advanced business journalism course as an elective later. Somebody might want to pick up political journalism, something like democracy and political parties, and somebody else might want to pick up entertainment and lifestyle journalism. So our website, simc.edu, has this section called academics on it, where you will see program structure, curriculum, these tabs on it, right? And if you drop the drop-down menu, will have all the details. You could get the list of courses that we offer on the website, and you could see the range of courses that are there. So this is about the MA Mass Communication program. The MBA Communication Management program, again, a 2-year degree program, works in a different way. It has 4 specializations. Right? One is called brand communication. The second is called public relations. The third is called marketing and media analytics. And the fourth is called media management. Now, while there are specializations, we have a system of majors and minors. So when you finish your first semester and you go to the second semester, you could pick up one specialization as your major and one specialization as your minor. So for example, if you decide to pick up, say, brand communication as a major, you can pick up media management as a minor. So you would do a lot of electives which come under the categories of brand communication and media management. You would do a combination and you will earn some credits out of it. Having said that, students in MBA Communication Management do almost 70% of courses which are common to everyone. Only 30% may comprise major minors. So that's how it works, right? I see a lot of questions coming on my Zoom inbox, but I'll address them once I'm finished the list of questions that I already have. So don't get impatient. I'll respond to them, both Leena and Vasavi. There are questions from you. I will respond to them, but let me first finish the list of questions that my team has already given to me, right? So this is one. You wanted to know the difference between the 2 programs. This is the difference between the 2 programs. They are 2 exclusive degree programs. So I hope that's clear, right? Now, if I talk a little bit more about, if I can just kind of get the list on me, just give me 1 second. So if I look at the kind of questions that have come to me, one of the significant things that many students have asked is primarily about, what do you require in terms of competencies, skill sets? What is it that you should have in you to be a part of the MA program or the MBA program? Now, the thing is that as a discipline, media communication is something that is very niche. So one, you might come from any graduation field. That cannot stop you from joining a program. So you could be a pharmacist, you could be a science graduate, you could be a humanities social science graduate, you could be a commerce graduate. you are eligible to join the program, and whatever are the eligibility conditions of 50% marks in undergrad and all of that applies to us, and you could apply. So it's not that you should have done a communication and media course and then only you can apply. That's not the way it is. In fact, one of the queries I received was from an engineer who mentioned being very interested in a media communication sort of a program, but wasn't sure about applying to us because they didn't understand what this field was all about. Well, our systems and programs are structured in such a way that the first semester is our foundational semester. So we offer very basic fundamental courses in the first semester, because over the years, we have always got a very heterogeneous, diverse group of students who join us. So they come from all kinds of disciplines. So frankly, you will never be the first engineer or the first architect to join us. We've had like such students and a lot of diverse disciplines represented at SIMC. So more importantly, keep this in mind that you could be from any discipline, but media communication as an industry should interest you, should fascinate you. So if you want to do an MBA from us, but later you want to get into HR, finance or something, we are not the institute for you. We specialize in communication. So something like getting into advertising, getting into media planning, getting into public relations, maybe even corporate communication, getting into media research. All of this is what our MBA program is about. So if content, brands, public relations, all of these things have excited you, right? Then this is the program that you may want to apply to. And here I'm talking especially to the MBA aspirants. Students who have applied to the MA Mass Communication program, you understand who a journalist is, who a content creator is, who a filmmaker is. Those sides are different. That's a very creative, content-oriented side. So that's the MA program. The business of media, that is addressed in the MBA program. So you could keep that in mind as an understanding of, okay, do you have it in you in terms of aptitude to be a part of this industry? See, many a times what happens is you apply to multiple MBA colleges, right? And then you start thinking that if I don't get it here, I'll get it somewhere else. So let me apply to like, say, 6 colleges within Symbiosis now that the SNAP results are out. So maybe as per the old data that you might be seeing on the internet, you would say that, okay, maybe my cutoff will fit here. It's not just the cutoff that has to fit into SIMC, but it is the aptitude, the orientation to be a part of a media program that should fit into SIMC. So keep that in mind. You could do a general MBA from 4 different schools, and it's okay because more or less broadly the syllabus will be the same. But we are absolutely different from them. So if you're just wanting to do an MBA from Symbiosis, we are not the school for you. If you want to do an MBA in communication and media, then we are the school that you may want to aspire to be a part of. So that's something that keep in mind, right? And then very importantly, something that you have to keep in mind, and I keep hearing all of this again and again about placements. I think I see a lot of questions on Zoom also saying, are your placements 100%? Now, who makes placements 100%? Institutes don't make it, students make it. So yes, we have had a very consistent high placement record in the institution. Go to our website, you will see the figures from the last 3 years. In fact, last year was a milestone for us. By January itself, we had achieved 100% placements for our MBA program, then 100% placements for our journalism program. Of course, our audiovisual program, because of the nature of the industry, will always have 50-60% placements from campus, because a lot of students end up being freelancers, do independent projects. So that works very differently. But yes, we have accomplished 100% placements many a times. We are always above 85-90% as a school. But that depends a lot on your competence. Placement is a facilitation that the institution does. Placements are not guarantees, right? So something of this sort. So yeah, we have great numbers. Our track record is brilliant, but do you have it in you to be a part of the trajectory that we have created for the last 33 years as a school? So that's something that you have to think about. Now, what are the kind of companies was possibly another question that I saw that come to SIMC. So now let me give you an idea. Students who have applied for, say, the journalism program could look at very journalistic, news-based organizations that recruit from SIMC. So a Thomson Reuters, a Quint, a Network 18, And Network 18, has so many multiple subsidiaries. They would have anything from a CNN, IBN, a new CNN News 18, to their digital platforms, including a money control, including a first post. So you could go anywhere. Last couple of years, we have been having good amount of recruitment from even Z News, and a lot of our students who want to get into English journalism primarily have joined Vion and some other online outlets also. In addition to that, the audiovisual students have been recruited from the campus by a Viacom 18 as creative trainees. They have gone to multiple production houses like Pocket Aces, like Absolute Productions, or even a Prime Focus Technologies or a Z Studio. And all these are the kind of companies that come to us on the campus, right? And before you have your final placements, you also have 2 internships in the program, both in journalism and audiovisual. So many students are able to convert their internships also into placement offers. And there we have seen a lot of also very unorthodox sort of companies where a lot of students are getting into multiple digital sort of profiles and other things. So that's also another interesting area to explore. In our MBA program, we primarily are an institute that caters to something called an agency, the agency ecosystem. What's an agency? Many of you might have heard of advertising agencies and PR agencies, which are traditional kind of agencies. Today, we get very wholesome integrated agencies. So one agency, which will also do brand, which might also be doing PR, which might be doing research. And a lot of agencies today are actually digital agencies or digital marketing agencies. So for us as a school, 80% of our students primarily target, and as an institute, we target the agency environment. Agencies have clients. So for example, an agency may have a client and they do their entire advertising, PR, media planning, everything for them. So for example, a bank could be one client. So an ICICI Bank is their client on one hand. However, on the other hand, they may even have a Lakme as their client. So that's how an agency works. So primarily our students get recruited by agencies. We also have a few corporates who hire from us, but they primarily hire students in positions of corporate communication. Some sort of communication business development is something that I'm seeing for the last 2 or 3 years. So to just name a few organizations, let's say Ad Factors, Edelman could be examples of PR agencies that have consistently recruited our students. Then we have creative agencies like Leo Burnett, which is a very popular name that many of you may have heard about. Then in addition to that, let's say we have these groups, large groups called Publicis Media, Zoo Media. They are new age agencies, digital agencies, and they have multiple agencies under their umbrella. And you could, these are the agencies you could search for to understand what kind of roles are there. Primarily, the roles are like account planning, client servicing. Today, a lot of research roles are available to media and communication students. So those are the kind of diverse profiles available to students of MBA communication management. In addition to that, we've had research agencies like Kantar, Drishti, who have consistently recruited our students, because we also have a specialization called media analytics and media management, which are very quantitative and qualitative research focused specializations whose students are very interested in getting into research. Additionally, in terms of some corporates who come to us consistently, we have ICICI Bank, which has hired corporate communication professionals from us over the years. Vedanta Group, which has hired from us continuously. We have Cognizant, which has been doing a lot of hiring in communication from us. In fact, this year, very interestingly, Cognizant has also hired people in content from our MBA batch, and that's like an emerging space. Students have been getting into Viacom as management trainees. They have joined Woot. They have joined OTT platforms which are regional in nature. Viacom actually does a lot of regional content production. So, if you have some regional language expertise, then they take you to, say, for example, the Viacom 18 setup in Andhra, in Tamil Nadu, in West Bengal, depending upon your language understanding and all of that. So keep this in mind. And you could then search for these names and try to see what sort of profiles in media do they offer. And I think this is a little bit of a crash course that I'm trying to give you to help you understand that, okay, this is the context. that I want to enter in, and then figure it out if you are really interested. Okay. One question that I think continues to come is CTCs. What are the average cost to company, salaries, and all of that. So if you make it to our cutoff, I think I'll talk about it better in more detail, give you all the stats. But right now I can give you a general idea. So anybody who's doing a journalism program, at the end of it, a good organization will offer you something like a 4 to 4.5 lakh per annum. Audiovisual, it could be around anything between 3.5 to even 6.5, but you can see the average, it can go anywhere. MBA communication management, largely I see averages from agencies being at around 6 lakhs an annum, right? And corporates can go a little higher, but that is the average of SIMC. 6.5, that's where 50%, 60% of the students would fall in. So keep this in mind, you are not going to get a 25 lakh CTC or anything. So don't ask me those questions more than once now, right? I've told you this is the average bracket of CTC. All right. So broadly, I've answered the questions, I think, that came to me via the earlier, and there were many questions, but all of them fell in the same category. So now let me just go to the chat box, which now just seems to be overflowing. And let me answer your questions to the best of my abilities. What is the cutoff for 2023 as I scored this? Okay, so cutoffs, generally to tell everybody, are very dynamic. Every year, depending upon what is the highest score, the percentile would be set. I think you could go to some good forums on the internet and see, because cutoffs are so dynamic, so I can't give you an exact number now. So once you apply to us, you would get to know, whether you would be called or not. So I'll leave it at that. Now, there is a question where I have where somebody is saying regarding how the exams will be conducted. Is there any negative marking, etc.? I think your question is about the MA exam, which is yet to take place. So, well, there is no negative marking, right? That's point one. Number two, you will get a mock test to appear for. So what are the protocols? What are the guidelines? I think I'll ask somebody from my team, when is our mock exam? 24th of January is when the mock exam is. You will get all the details about it. If you have any doubts about how that would happen, please appear for the mock exam on 24th January. That should really help you. The next question is the placement of MBA. I think I already talked about it. There is another question on cutoff. I've already responded to it. Are the placements 100%? What's the average package? I have responded already. How do we prepare for MAMC audiovisual test? So there is a very specific question about MAMC audiovisual. See, first you have to appear for our MAMC entrance test, which is common for both journalism and audiovisual. It has 4 very simple sections. Number 1, general English, right? Because the whole medium of instruction of the program is English. So that's a general English sort of a paper. One of the papers is current affairs, general knowledge, things that are happening around you. So English, do your basic grammar, vocabulary, all those tests, try to crack. I mean, you might have some SAT, preparation books, any kind of entrances, questions on English that you can see on internet. That should help you. Current affairs, I think you could look at the last 1 year in particular, because this is where the current affairs are primarily focused. There could be a few civilization defining subjects which may still be asked, which are slightly older, but usually current affairs would be the last 1 or 2 years, and different facets from entertainment to politics to sports, what has been happening, science, technology, everything that you can look at. So basically some idea. The third section is called media studies, media culture studies and something. So that's very basic. That is just helping to understand that how media literate you are. So for example, your generation is the generation which is primarily on so much of social media. So there will be so much of vocabulary of the social media that you're already aware of. If you're really interested in media studies, you would have also been more conscious of certain terms that are used, right? So for example, let me give you an idea of something like, I can't reveal like many things, but I can just say that you would like really know things about, certain trends, hashtags that are trending. They mean something. That's all popular culture. So nobody will ask you theories and big theories of something, but general things about all these things that exist in the media world. Conversations that happen around, say, something like propaganda, around music and all of that. And some understanding of basic media, academically speaking, a little bit of that. So that's the third section. And the fourth section is your simple visual logical abilities. We call that section logical reasoning. I think there are hardly 5-6 questions there, but that 10 questions, okay, is what my team says. So 10 questions, but what you will do is you just have to understand. It is just to help us understand that, okay, you kind of can make sense of some sort of, you can apply your mind to things. That's about it, right? So it's a 60-mark paper. We will use, you will qualify that entrance test. And then when you come here, so if you're appearing for audio visual, you will appear for a separate process, which has something called WAT, which is the written aptitude test. Then there's something called a GE or a GD, and then there is a PI, which is a personal interaction. 3 more steps. WAT is usually going to have a question or a couple of questions for you. There might be one question on some sort of a certain image you will see, and you will be asked to possibly write a story on it. And then there could be like a larger opinion question on what do you think about the current, say, for example, status of Bollywood films being cancelled by the public, and how do you kind of look at the whole thing. So mostly to understand how much critically can you think. So that could be your written test. Similarly, your group discussion or group exercise could have a subject, and 6-7 of you could be a part of that group, and it's all happening virtually, right? So just keep that in mind, that the whole process is virtual. So you would be sitting and discussing a topic, and there will be 2 professors, moderators of that group discussions who would be evaluating you. And finally, you will appear for a personal interaction, which is more one-on-one. There will be a panel of 2 people, an industry person and a professor, who would just have an open conversation with you, trying to understand why you are interested in this field, if there is any work that you have done that you may want to talk about. We don't have any requirement for a separate portfolio or anything, and it doesn't carry any extra marks, right? But it is just that sometimes that's good enough to explain why you are an ideal candidate for that program. That's how we look at it. And that's about it. So that is how you kind of prepare for any test. And the same will apply to journalism or MBA also. And they could think about their own context as to what they would like to talk about. Don't you think fee structure will put a burden on students coming from? Yes, you're right, Arzu. Somebody is asking me about the fee structure, and therefore you should make a very wise decision. Would you like to join this program? Because unfortunately, in private universities, fee is the only source of income through which programs run. So I wouldn't be able to say anything else to you at the moment. I can just say that if you are looking at a very solid immediate return on investment, and if fee could be a very big burden on you, you should think twice before signing up for the program, right? And make a very, very pragmatic decision. You know your personal contexts better than anyone, right? So I'll keep it at that. Then, okay, yeah. So yes, there is a difference between the MBA and MMC placements because both programs are different. There is a question that somebody has asked me, is that why is there a difference between MAMC and MBA placements? MAMC is a content-centric program, creative and editorial, right? That's the program. MBA is a business-oriented program, but it focuses on the business of media. So the kind of organizations or recruiters that are targeted in both the programs are very different from each other. The industry largely is MediaCom, but if you look at it, the profiles that are offered are very different for mass comm students. And I told you earlier, we are not a generic mass comm program where there's also advertising, there's also PR. So journalism students have majority journalism courses, right? And audiovisual students will have a majority of audiovisual courses. The MBA program is very different, right? So therefore, because the programs academically are different, the whole process is very different. Therefore, the recruiters and scores are very different. Okay. Are there any financial aids? So in terms of scholarships and everything, you could write an email to the admissions cell and they could let you know how they can support that. But otherwise, of course, there are education loans, the information for which is also available on a website. Our admissions office can support you. You can talk to them. Yes, we have an online course. Somebody is asking me, do we have any online correspondence courses? And yes, we do. So there is something called the Symbiosis School of Online and Distance Learning, SSODL. you might want to look up their website. There is an MA Mass Communication online program that is available there. The MBA Communication Management is not available in the online mode. It has just been launched. The first semester is going on. You could check that out, SSODL. There is data, yes. Whoever is saying that there is no data on placements available on the website, so I'll tell you how you could kind of go there. You could just go to the simc.edu website. On the top right corner, you would see a lot of tabs. One of the tabs is placements, right? And if you go to the drop-down menu, there is recruiters, there is placement statistics in the drop-down menu. Just click on that. You will see a lot of graphics and images of last 3 years placements. You would see the names of some of the recruiters, etc., etc. All right, please go and have a look at it. It's there. Then, yes, the CTC of MBA and MAMC students is different because the industry is different. The industry profiles of these students are different, and therefore the CTC is different. And CTC is different. Companies largely, sometimes you can go as a creative trainee to Viacom also. If you are an audiovisual student, you go as a creative trainee. If you are an MBA student, the same Viacom will hire you as a management trainee. There will be some difference between the CTC. Why is there that difference? Well, the industry is like that. That is the reason, right? Just keep that in mind. You are entering an industry which from the outside looks like, it's a media industry, but media industry has multiple profiles. Depends upon what kind of a profile you want to get into. More importantly, anybody and somebody doesn't come and do a media program. Very different people still come and do media communication programs. And therefore, it's very important for yourself to be convinced that you're okay about taking it. Don't come and do this program because you just wanting to study further and you could pick up anything. And that is why I'm making this point again and again. No, you cannot register. Okay, if you have appeared, you can register for the MA program still, because the entrance is on 29th January. You can register by the 16th of January. That's the last date for registration. In the MA program. For MBA, if you have appeared for SNAP exam, you can register for SIMC till January 17. But if you haven't appeared for the SNAP exam, you cannot register for SIMC. That is the filter test that you should have taken. MA, the entrance exam is still going to happen on 29th January, MAMC. MBA entrance exam is over, but you can still register for SIMC till the 16th of January. For MAMC entrance test, you can register for SIMC till 16th January. All right, these are the dates. Yes, you have to strictly stay in the hostel, right? That is a compulsory characteristic of the program. It's a residential program. Of course, there are times to get in and out of the hostel, but you have to stay on the campus if there are questions. Somebody is saying that they have done hotel management. Are they eligible? Yes, you are eligible to apply for any of the postgraduate, provided you fulfill the eligibility conditions with respect to your marks in graduation, and that place that you have done your graduation from, that should be a recognized place. So such specific queries can be directed to our admissions office. Okay, somebody is asking me about creativity and innovation, largely in management, and how much is that important for being a part of the MBA program at SIMC. See, a media communication program is premised in a lot of creativity and innovation that comes as a part of the mindset, right? You are excited. Like, see how many people are there who are excited when they sit down and just watch ads, or they look at the idea of branded content with so much of insight. So there is always a group of people who look at these things very differently. They don't just look at them as just a source of entertainment, but in their head, they are also thinking about what goes behind it and how could things change or get created or innovated in a way, and how could they find even newer audiences? How could they find even newer ideas, right? So of course, a program that caters to the media communication domain largely, and the media industry in particular, has to be premised in a lot of creativity and innovation, and that's a hallmark of our program. However, having said that, creativity without a direction is meaningless, right? And you would all agree with that. So what is very important to understand is that today creativity also is packaged or has to be taken forward in so many ways. That is why you need the motivation and a creative bent of mind and openness to accept multiple ideas. But you need to understand that it has to be combined with a lot of academic rigor, which comes with working on knowledge, competency, and diverse skill sets. So if you look at our curriculum, we have tried to have a balance of these parameters. So even if you're doing filmmaking, it is so important that you know that there is massive research that has to go before any film is conceptualized, right? If you are to work on an ad campaign, a brand campaign, you know there's massive research that has to go before it, and you have to have a track on or a pulse on the kind of consumers and audiences who are going to consume it. So everything from numbers to qualitative data to generating insights, understanding technology becomes a part of it. So creativity and innovation no longer are just big abstract words. They come with a framework, and that framework has critical thought, a lot of reading, writing, and of course, for a lot of our students who come to SIMC, writing and reading is core. That's where most of the programs kind of work. And eventually, there are advanced sort of skill-based courses in technology, in research, in data crunching, in insight generation, and that also come with it. So yes, creativity and innovation, but creativity and innovation comes with its framework. Yes, you will receive an email saying that please access, you have like this SNAP ID or your MAMC ID, right? You have a roll number. How do you access the results? You will get an email saying that, okay, these letters have been released. If you are shortlisted, you will go log into your portal, which is your entrance test portal where you had your ID and password. And there it would be reflected that whether you have been called for the interview or not, you will get all this communication from us. So don't be worried, right? And if you are having any doubts, contact our admission office. They're very, very proactive, and they'll respond to you immediately. Yeah, again, I have a question on whether hostels are compulsory. For the nth time, yes, residential accommodation. I cannot tell you what exactly will be the cutoff. I still don't have the scores on me, but largely, like I said, it's very dynamic. Depends also on what will be the top percentile this year, and then it would be adjusted. The calls for SIMC broadly, you will have our sort of a schedule, but let me just give you an idea of our schedule once more so that you know when all the calls will be out. So now for all the students or aspirants who are here who have applied for our MBA program, you have already appeared for SNAP exam. If you have applied to SIMC or you are planning to apply for SIMC, now your shortlist will be out by January 25, guys. Okay, January 25 is when you would get to know if you have registered for SIMC, whether you are shortlisted for the GE pivot process. So that's the first date that you have to remember. Then if you are shortlisted, you would get an invitation to appear for something called the written aptitude test. What? Right? That is going to happen on February 8. It will happen in 2 different slots, and that the admission office will communicate to you. Then on 10th, 11th, and 12th February, you would have the GE pivot process, the GE Pi process, which is more like group exercise, which is primarily a group discussion and a personal interaction. And all of this is happening virtually, once again, in the virtual mode. All right. And then we will announce the results, which is the first merit list on March 2. And then you will get all the other dates about paying the fee. And then if there would be another merit list, etc., etc. This is MBA, right? For the MA Mass Communication program, the entrance test is scheduled on January 29, which is a Sunday. It's a home-based proctor test. It is happening online, right? And I have already told you about the 4 sections. The last date to register for this test is January 16. You still have 3 days for it, right? And then we will release the admit cards for you on January 20. The test is on January 29, and the result of the test will be announced on February 7. So on February 7, you will get to know if you have qualified for the next GE pivot process. Again, all the MAMC students, journalism and audiovisual, will appear for a written aptitude test, which is a subjective type test. That is what is going to happen on February 23 for you guys. And then on February 25 and 26, if you will appear for your group discussion and personal interactions. And that's a Saturday, Sunday. And again, that's going to happen virtually. And we will release the result on March 13 for you guys. So these are the dates that you can keep in mind, and they're all there, and you could check the website for that too. Okay. Then I have a question on, I told you about the dates. You are still asking me when will be the calls out. I have already responded to that. Can an MA students have a career options of MBA students? Yeah, of course. I think Vasudha is asking me that if I'm an MA student and later in life, I want to kind of have some career options that an MBA student has today, can I do that? Vasudha, I always say this, when my parents possibly had a sort of a job, they started with that job and they possibly retired from that job. If I look at my generation precisely, I've been like, briefly, I've been with the industry and now almost for 2 decades with media education. I might have had a few jobs, but broadly my career has been around media communication, largely this industry, right? I think you guys are a generation who's going to have multiple careers. So it's not just you. I think it's anyone today, you see the world around. People are changing careers depending upon the kind of passion and how they are driven, but yeah, they prepare for it. So of course, it's a more philosophical discussion that we could do, but this is not something that I have to tell you. I think the whole world knows that today people are looking at careers and revisiting the definition of career in so many different ways. So keep that in mind, right? Then the next question I have is, will GDPI be conducted for all SIU at once? No, I am talking about SIMC, just this institute. SIU has multiple institutes. All institutes have separate schedules. So SIMC is separate, right? You are asking me, some of you are giving me your marks and asking me, will I qualify? I wouldn't be able to answer that question directly here. So please excuse me on that front. Sorry, I wouldn't be able to do that. So somebody's saying that the website says that the MBA average CTC is 7.9 lakhs per annum. Is it true? I really don't know what your question is. Just keep this in mind. Average is 6-7 lakhs for the last few years now. People are getting it. Some years it's even been higher, but also in some years it's been lower. So I'm trying to be very conservative when I say this. Just keep a 6.5 ka figure in your head. That is the average CTC. In a particular year, it might have gone to 7.9, but in another year, it might have been at 5.5. And with economic recession looming large in the next year, it could really not be as high, or it may stay the same. So yeah, I'm always very transparent and honest about it. Keep this in mind. 5.5, 6, right? Economic recession looming, I'm not sure where this is going to go. Our salary is going to get reduced or not. And it might be true for the year where it has been put up, but it can be variable. It can be dynamic. Somebody's asking me, can we get out of the hostels every day, weekends? You're all adults, right? Of course you can go out every day, but there is going to be a time by when you have to get in. Don't ask me such questions on an admissions webinar, please. I'm sure that you can all figure it out on a lot of Instagram groups and WhatsApp groups with other people. I'm sure you would like to use the time of the director for better questions. 12th class percentage. This is not, how are you appearing for this webinar today? If you are still in 12th class, I think you are confused. This is for the postgraduate program. Somebody is still a 12th class student who's not written the exams. I think you should appear for set webinars. I think by mistake, you have appeared for this webinar. It is for a postgraduate program after graduation. So I think you are in the wrong group. Then I think I'm just getting, okay, I think I have 2-3 very interesting questions. Somebody's again asking me about cutoff. Guys, I'm not telling you what's the cutoff this year. All right. So I'll be very direct about it. You will get to know it is dynamic. It depending upon percentile changes every year. It can be 15-20% here and there. So yeah, I don't have an absolute number to share with you that this is the SIMC cutoff this year. I think I have a couple of very interesting questions here. Somebody has been asking me about the opportunities in sports journalism. Of course, many of our students are sports journalists. In fact, one of the Ramnath Goenka awardees in journalism is an SIMC student. A lot of them are into sports journalism. So of course, we also have an elective in sports journalism because somebody really wanted to ask that. I think I have an interesting question on ratio of freshers to work experience. So in SIMC, it's a mixed batch. But yes, I should tell you that we get a lot of freshers at SIMC. In our MA program, I would tell you 90% of the students MAMC are freshers. 10-20% hardly come with work experience. In MBA program, 60-70% students are freshers. So you could say 60-40. So that has been the ratio. And people might come from very different domains and their work experience might not even be relevant. But yeah, I mean, we have a large number of freshers in the institute. Okay, I think one last question that I'm coming to again and again that's being asked to me is the last dates. Guys, for everybody's benefit, I'm repeating the dates, though they are everywhere in all our communication if you are a little conscious. But let me just repeat the dates for you because I think that sometimes can be a little confusing. So all of you who are a part of the MAMC, MA Mass Communication applicant pool, the last date for registration for the program to appear for the entrance test is 3 days from today. It is January 16. Then you will get your admit card by January 20. And you have a mock test happening on January 24. And then we finally have the entrance exam on January 29. The results of the entrance test will be out on February 7. If you qualify the entrance test, you would be called for the GE pivot process and you would get to know about your schedule and everything by February 14. On February 23, the MAMC students will appear for a written aptitude test. And on February 25 and 26, they would have their GD and personal interaction. March 13 is when the final results would be out. So this is for MAMC. These are the important dates. The second is MBA Communication Management. And for MBA Communication Management, the SNAP test is the entrance test, which is already over. January 10 was the date when the results came out. Now, many of you may have already applied to SIMC, but if you still want to apply for SIMC, the last date for registration is January 17, guys. January 17 is by when you have to apply. Then we are going to announce the short list on January 25, and you would get to know whether you have qualified for the next rounds. February 8 is when we are going to have our written aptitude test for the MBA aspirants. And February 10, 11, and 12 is when we will have group discussion, group exercise, and personal interactions. March 2 is when the first merit list will be announced. So this is the schedule for MBA. And yes, is there a way to contact a counselor for SIMC? The admissions team can be contacted. The email ID is admissions@simc.edu. Admissions@simc.edu. That is the email ID for any kind of admission counseling that you can contact. Okay. And I think my team has also mentioned that email address in the chat box, and you can take it from here. And there is a personal question to me. Why is doctor written before your name? Am I a doctor? Yeah, I'm a PhD doctor. Hence, there's a doctor written in front of my name. All right. So I think that was the last question that I saw here. Yeah, I think more or less the repeat questions only, and I think more or less. And I think this video will be available on YouTube in case some of you joined late and have missed out on certain information. So I think this opportunity to thank all of you who joined here on Zoom, who might have joined on YouTube. Thank you so much. I think I tried to kind of address a lot of dimensions on the basis of the kind of questions you asked me. But if you are convinced about a career in media communication, if this is the kind of domain that excites you, because it's very niche, it's very specialized, think about things before you want to come in, right? And I mean, there is so much of information available that sometimes it can be very confusing. So figure it out for yourself, whether you would like to pursue a post-graduation of this kind. Don't come in just because you want to do just any MBA or just any MA. It is okay. We are very, very niche as a school, very specifically interested in people who are as passionate about media and communication as we are. And if you are interested, then, it's a fantastic 2 years of experience at this place. It has a lot of things that students can very, very, autonomously do. There are a lot of opportunities that exist, and the life at the campus, the overall experience can be very, very fulfilling for students. So I wish you all the very best for the whole process, from the entrance to the next stages. And I'm sure some of you will be a part of SIMC in future, and whatever are the next platforms where I will meet you, I look forward to seeing you all. I wish you all a great year ahead, all the best for any kind of career plans that you have. And the admissions at simc.edu email address is always there to respond to your queries. So reach out to us if you have any. And thank you so much once again to the whole team at SIMC for supporting this webinar, to our agency for supporting us through this webinar. I'll take your leave now. Thank you very much.